South Africa at a crossroads, land reform, refugees, and the global narrative. South Africa is once again at the center of a global argument about land, race, power, and who truly belongs. In Washington, the story is framed as persecution. In Pretoria, it's framed as misinformation. But beneath the politics and the headlines lies a deeper reality, one shaped not by slogans, but by land reform, economics, and a country still rebuilding itself after apartheid. Tonight on VlogND, we examine what's actually happening on the ground and why the world is watching South Africa through two very different lenses. The land question. A massive shout out to our subscribers for being the backbone of this channel. For anyone new here watching, your support means the world too. If you like what we're about, subscribing is the best way to stay connected, and it would really help us grow. Land reform is one of the most emotionally charged and misunderstood issues in South Africa. Under apartheid, the vast majority of productive land was owned by a white minority. Since 1994, the democratic government has worked often slowly and imperfectly to correct that imbalance through land restitution, redistribution, and tenure reform. Today, thousands of black families and communities are land reform beneficiaries. Many now manage farms located in areas of exceptional ecological and economic value. But land alone does not guarantee prosperity. And that's where the story begins to diverge from the headlines. The wildlife economy reality. South Africa has one of the world's most advanced wildlife economies. Over the past few decades, millions of hectares once used for livestock farming have been converted into wildlife ranches supporting ecotourism, game meat production, hunting, and conservation. The sector already contributes billions to the economy, and government strategy aims to grow ecotourism-based businesses by 10% annually. But here's what rarely makes international news. Researchers studying land reform farms in biodiversity-rich regions found that most new landholders are not being pushed off the land, they're being held back by infrastructure gaps. Only 42% of land reform farms earn any income from wildlife. On average, wildlife contributes less than 5% of total revenue. Not because of ideology, not because of violence, but because of fencing, water systems, vehicles, capital, and access to markets. Misaligned expectations. Many land reform business plans aimed high luxury tourism, trophy hunting, elite international markets. But those models require massive capital, rare wildlife species, skilled labor, and global access. What researchers found instead was something far more practical. Land reform farms closely resemble mixed livestock wildlife enterprises models that combine traditional farming with game meat, domestic tourism, and small-scale hunting. These models are cheaper, more resilient, and aligned with existing skills. The challenge isn't collapse, it's transition. And that distinction matters because while South Africa debates how to make land reform work, a very different story is being told abroad. Enter global politics. In the United States, South Africa's land debate has been framed as racial persecution. After freezing most refugee admissions worldwide, the American administration launched a special program focused on white South Africans of Afrikaner descent, saying they face targeted violence and displacement. Pretoria rejects this narrative outright. South African officials argue the claims lack evidence and inflame racial division. But despite rejecting the premise, South Africa has quietly agreed not to interfere with the U.S. refugee program. That agreement followed a tense moment in December when South African authorities raided a U.S. refugee processing site in Johannesburg, arresting contractors and briefly detaining American officers. The incident sparked backlash in Washington and raised fears of a diplomatic breakdown. Behind closed doors, however, both sides chose de-escalation over confrontation. Quiet diplomacy. In a closed-door meeting just before Christmas, senior South African officials assured U.S. diplomats that while they reject the genocide narrative, they will not block citizens from leaving if they choose to do so. At the same time, unresolved tensions remain. A leaked passport image of a U.S. refugee officer following the raid has yet to be fully investigated, adding another layer of mistrust. Publicly, both governments deny negotiating. Privately, communication channels remain open. And through it all, refugee arrivals continue. Not as evidence of collapse, but as evidence of how powerful narratives can reshape policy. Two stories, one country. South Africa today is not a nation in freefall. It is a nation in transition, struggling with inequality, infrastructure, and economic inclusion, but also experimenting with new models of land use, conservation, and empowerment. The land question is real. The pain of history is real. But so is the danger of oversimplification. While some leave in search of certainty, millions remain building livelihoods on land once denied to them, navigating a future shaped by justice, economics, and time. The story of South Africa is not just about who exits. It's about who stays and what they build. So now, the question turns to you. What do you think about the position South Africa finds itself in today, caught between history, reform, and global scrutiny? Do you see a country in decline, or a country still working through a difficult transformation? What do you expect from South Africa in the years ahead? More confrontation, more compromise, or a clearer path forward? And what responsibility does the international community carry when telling Africa's story to the world? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective matters here. This is Sal Pier, signing off from VlogND, where we work to uncover the true stories of the world and Africa. Thank you for spending your time with us. If you enjoyed the journey, subscribing is the best way to ensure you never miss the next one. We are so grateful for your support.